Yiscah, you have been teaching the Pardes Rebbe's writings for a good amount of time now, and I feel like as someone who also teaches the writings of specific people, they really shape your thoughts, and you end up emulating them. So I want to ask you about the Pardes Rebbe's approach to education, because you educate, you're teaching all the time, and you have students in front of you. And the Pardes wrote a whole book about education. So I want to quote a passage from the book and then ask your opinion on it and maybe to explain it. Okay, so the Pardes writes in Chovot HaTalmidim, he says, "It is not enough to teach the youth that their obligation is to obey the teacher's voice and nothing more. This alone will not help. Eventually the student will perceive their teacher as an enemy and as a foreign dictator. Instead, the main thing is to plant within the heart of a student the idea that they themselves are the teacher." Can you explain what does the Pardes Rebbe mean by this, that the student should feel like they are the teacher themselves?
I understand that to mean the cultivation of bitachon atzmi, of being able to trust oneself, of being able. I'll quote one of my rabbis here in Yerushalayim, Rav Raz Hartman, who said that each person knows at least one piece of themselves that no one else knows to be absolutely true for themselves. That's the building block of authentic living, of true living, of living where one can teach oneself. If I, as an educator, can help anybody, a student, a friend, someone on the bus, if through our exchanges that person feels more able and really believes that one can go deeper into oneself and discover a piece of themselves that they're absolutely sure about, regardless of what the rest of the world says, because the rest of the world doesn't know about that piece. That's how I understand the Pardes teaching here in Chovot HaTalmidim, that every student can become one's own teacher, actually needs to be one's own teacher.
As a follow-up question, did you ever have a teacher or a rabbi? You mentioned Rav Raz. Can you think of any more that you felt like being in their class gave you this feeling of, as you said, bitachon atzmi, self-confidence, that you felt like you could be your own teacher?
Yes, and Baruch Hashem, more than one, but my first, who has helped create shifts in my own Jewish journey, my human journey, is Rav James Jacobson Mazel, for sure, without bli safek. From the very first moment I sat in his class, and he was my first teacher of the Pardes. He modeled that for all of his students and continues to model that at his retreats, on his podcasts, with his whole being. He really lives Chovot HaTalmidim with his students.